Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Remember your first box of Crayola crayons, the big one with all the different crayons in it? And just looking at those weird colors as a kid, I remember burnt umber and periwinkle and all these other colors I'd never really heard of. And then to me, what were the two strangest and most enigmatic crayons in the box? Reddish orange and orange red. And I finally figured out what was going on with those crayons, but it always used to kind of intrigue me. But thinking about this topic I'm going to talk about, made me think about those crayons for some reason. I saw a video recently, which was published like probably 3 years ago by this guy Tetsubo57, who is the vlogger responsible for my channel because I made a rebuttal video years ago. And he's a great vlogger. I agree with a lot of the stuff he says. And he had this great video called Wizard versus Fighter. And in it, he talks a little bit about the fact that he thinks that perhaps certain players gravitate towards playing fighters and certain players gravitate towards playing wizards because they're looking for a different play style or they're looking for a different experience out of gaming. And I kind of thought about that a little bit, and I kind of gravitate a little bit more towards being a fighter, although I certainly like playing a wizard. And part of what I like to do as an adventurer, as a player, is I like to adventure. I like to explore the world. I like to get involved in intrigue. I like to look around at stuff. Figure out what's going on, solve puzzles, riddles, and then if I get in a real jam, then I use my abilities, whatever character abilities I have, to save my life, or to if I can't get what I want any other way, then I use my abilities. And I was thinking a lot about perhaps having a campaign where I talked about before, maybe we would just have fighters and thieves and that's it, and you can't play a caster. And maybe there's only a few wizards in the world. Maybe they're just so weird and so beyond normal human comprehension that's just not something that's available to players. Doesn't mean there's no magic in the campaign, and perhaps you can use some magic items, maybe in scrolls or whatever. But you're just not going to be a wizard. And ditto for something like a high-level priest or something. They're just so enigmatic. Anybody that can actually really commune with the gods and get stuff from them, magically, that's just unbelievable. So I was thinking, geez, instead of just having fighters and thieves, what if you had some classes in between? And the most obvious thing is you have a fighter and you have a thief and maybe a fighter thief. And you'd probably have to use unified XP to make things kind of, try to balance things out. And then I thought to myself, well, geez, how about you have reddish orange and orange red, where you can be a fighter. You can be kind of like a fighter thief, but mostly a fighter, a thief fighter, but mostly a thief, and then a thief. And the closer you get towards being a fighter on that whole spectrum, the better you are. Your attack bonus is better. You have more hit points, bigger hit dice. Maybe your saves versus things like poison or any kind of like death stuff. You have better con saves and better fort saves, if you will. And the closer you are to being a thief on that, maybe your attack bonus doesn't go up quite so much, but you have better thief abilities. You're much better at all those kind of things we think of as being thief abilities. Maybe you have like the backstab, sneak attack. Maybe you're just good at outright assassinating people. Maybe you have better saves. Which we call like say reflex saves. So we're all talking about the same thing. And I don't care if you call them thieves or adventurers or rogues or specialists or whatever, jack of all trades. It's that guy. And that seems to me like it might be kind of a fun game to play. It might be a little bit too fiddly to have 4 classes like that, but I thought it might be kind of cool. I ran a few numbers, nothing real major, but it seemed like it would be a lot of fun to do something like that. And so, of course, you can use the basic hit dice. Maybe a fighter is D10, and by the time you're a thief, you're D4. I really hate D4 hit dice for thieves, but it can probably work in this kind of thing. And that seems like it might be a lot of fun and kind of neat, because you can kind of choose, well, what kind of adventurer do I want to be? Do I want to be a guy that can just hit stuff and really good at that? Do I want to be a guy that's really shouldn't be in combat, but he's really good at everything else? Or somebody in between, and then which way do I want to lean? I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but it seems like it might be kind of a neat campaign to run and to play in. And where wizards and high level, and priests are just really, really strange people to be feared and outwitted.